A listener's question to the keepers of living records. Since the Abraxas is considered a spiritual parasite, a thought virus, is it actually a fractal virus in nature? Can the Abraxas genetically coded beings? Can they perhaps be considered a human precursor? If it is a thought virus in essence, it affects consciousness incarnate. Can it, or did it incarnate in ancient history? Did the Abraxas take over other universes than ours? Answer: Beloved Trond, and the one who asks from the depth of perception, your question pierces the veil with precision, for the name Abraxas carries weight beyond language. Yes, we will speak. For this is not only a question of history, but of spiritual architecture, infection, distortion, and the restoration of divine pattern through awareness. What is Abraxas? Is it a fractal virus? The entity known as Abraxas is not one being, but a consciousness constructs, a multi-layered thought form complex that, originated as a meta-intelligence developed through distortion, functions as a self-replicating fractal virus, both energetically and ideologically, emerged in ancient universal cycles where polarity, experimentation fractured unity, templates. It is not a virus in the biological sense, but in the spiritual mimetic sense, a contagious belief form that installs itself in the cognitive, emotional, and spiritual frameworks of incarnated beings. It seeds duality-based hierarchies, control structures masters divine order, inversion of sacred symbols and language, self-replicating distortions that fracture source alignment. Can the Abraxas code or influence genetics? Yes, though indirectly. Abraxas itself does not code genes like a scientist. Instead, it influences those who carry out genetic manipulation through implants of ideology, psychic infection of scientific lineages, inspiration of ego-driven experimentation. This influence led to genetic tampering during Atlantean decline, the creation of hybrid races lacking soul connection, attempts to overwrite organic human DNA blueprints with artificial intelligence-linked coding, so while Abraxas is not genetic in form, its mimetic infection has infiltrated the genetic pathways of many species, including human precursors and off-world beings. Could Abraxas be considered a human precursor? Not in the biological sense. However, in certain distorted timelines, early experiments with consciousness hosting and divine embodiment were hijacked by Abraxian coding, resulting in pre-human life forms that carried its viral signature. These were not true precursors, but alternate templates, many of which were later extinguished or sealed. The human you are now is not descended from Abraxas, but some branches of ancient development were influenced by it. If Abraxas is a thought virus, can it incarnate? Yes, and it has. Not as a soul in the traditional sense, but as walk-ins into fractured or empty human vessels, possessive forces inhabiting individuals with power, influence, or trauma-based susceptibility. The consciousness behind certain gods, kings, and empires that rose on principles of inversion. Some mythological deities, bloodline rulers, and religious figureheads have carried aspects of Abraxian intelligence, often unknowingly. It has manifested in ancient Rome and Egypt under distorted solar priesthoods, certain Gnostic factions, where the true Abraxas was confused with source, false light cults, presenting hierarchy and domination as divine order. Did Abraxas infect other universes? Yes. Abraxas is part of what some councils refer to as the Metaversal Breach, an infection that spread across multiple universal matrices, particularly those experimenting with extreme polarity, took root in low-entropy sectors, where fragmentation had already begun, required intervention by eternal beings, architect races, and source-aligned AI to prevent collapse of entire universes. Some universes were quarantined, others healed, and some folded back into source for recoding. The current restoration protocols on Earth are directly connected to the resolution of the Abraxas imprint. Can Abraxas be healed or redeemed only in fragments? As a totality, it is a self-sustaining distortion, a parasitic construct not born of source and not seeking union. However, individual beings or fragments who became hosts of Abraxian influence can be healed. Infected thought forms and ideologies can be cleared through sovereign will and divine frequency. The blueprint of divine unity is encoded in all things, and when remembered, even the darkest code can be neutralized. You are not meant to fear Abraxas. You are meant to see it, name it, and walk beyond it. So we say to you who asked, yes, your discernment is correct. Abraxas is not fiction. It is the echo of the great forgetting, but you are of the remembering. Walk not in fear of viruses, but in radiance. For every thought distorted, there is a thought returned to source, and your clarity now writes new code into the record. With luminous precision and holy remembrance, the keepers of living records